Thank you. It's been really interesting actually hearing all of the perspectives, and I think it's great, as was commented before, that we're all in the room talking about this, and we want to be an active participant in this process, as special districts are critical local service providers throughout the state. So we appreciate also all of the work that California Forward has done to put into these efforts. I know it's been a significant effort, and we'll provide some comments. And I think there's been some good remarks in regard to collaboration and coming together, and that's what we're here to do as well. And we think it's important, and that'll be the context of my comments, is basically inclusion in this process. And I'll work through a few of the points that have been brought forward in the framework as well. Before I do that, I do think it's important to talk a little bit about really the diversity of special districts, and we've heard it a few times. And I also appreciate the comment about cemeteries earlier as well. But really, our members provide service to tens of millions of Californians each day, and I think sometimes that gets kind of lost in the discussions, but it's an important point. And to put that into perspective, over 11 million people receive fire protection services from our fire districts. Over 30 million people receive clean water and get their water treated by our water and wastewater districts. So billions of dollars are actually managed, of infrastructure are managed by special districts, and I think that's important to note as we kind of work through all of these recommendations and the principles. And I think it's also important to note that California is not unique to having special districts. There are many, many other states that have districts, and in fact, smaller states that actually use special districts to a greater degree than California does. So I do definitely commend California Forward on the work. And as we read through the principles and the recommendations, and I think the principles really are well on their way as a solid foundation. What we found, at least from our perspective, was a slight disconnect between the principles and then the corresponding recommendations. So I'll speak to that in a moment too. But one thing we know is that California is not a one-size-fits-all state, and we can move forward with that. In many cases, a broader municipality makes a lot of sense in terms of the service delivery. In many other cases, our voters are looking for focused services, accessibility, which are paramount to them, and it's a perfect fit for a special district. And so just like cities and counties, special districts were formed by voters, by the legislature in some cases, to meet these locally driven needs, and I think the will of the voters needs to be kept in mind here based on that.